Hello everyone. So we are heading into Module 4 and a new writing project. Remember, all three of our writing projects are tightly connected. They build on one another. They're different types of research regarding the same issue, the issue or the phenomenon, the action that we identified in our autoethnography. We are going to be carrying that forward and kind of reaching beyond our own personal perspectives, which is very valuable, but alone it isn't enough. So we are going to then go out and see what other people, other experts and stakeholders have published about the issue, have researched about the issue, and then we're going to describe, simply almost report to an academic audience what these other people have to say about it. And in doing that, we'll be able to get a more robust, multifaceted, complex understanding of what the issue or the phenomenon actually looks like from our perspective and considering other people's perspectives also. So this looks like Module 4 has a lot of work, that it involves a lot of work, but it's a lot of resources. So we really only have one thing to actually submit this week, but we're going to be doing a lot of research. So let me jump into this. I'm going to, not going to go right here because that's where I'm going to be posting this video, but right here is where we have the instructions to our next assignment. And read over this carefully and read over it several times over the next 2.5 weeks. It's a different type of writing, but it's not a difficult type of writing. Even though the name, this whole idea of synthesis and problem analysis sounds really complex, but basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be finding those 4 other voices, 4 other researchers or stakeholders or experts in the field who have written about either the exact issue that we talked about in Writing Project 1, or we might need to adjust it a little bit. That's absolutely fine, but it's got to be associated with what we identified in Writing Project 1. And we're going to read those sources to ourselves and get to know them, and then it's going to be a lot of summary. We're going to summarize those sources and those expert arguments and present them in a report for an audience, an academic audience. So it's going to be a little bit more formal, a little bit more clinical, but a very important type of writing. That's about all I'm going to say about it because I have another video right here that really gets into the more detail of the assignment. But again, like I said, we were going to work on this over the next 2.5 weeks. This next week is mainly all about research, finding those sources. Okay, so I'm going to jump back out here for a minute and show you at the bottom of this, a big section of this module. I have just simply copied content from our research helps module and placed it up here because this is going to be really helpful. Okay, and as I jump back in here, because out of those 4 sources that we're going to be gathering, 2 of those are going to be peer-reviewed articles. And if you haven't worked with peer-reviewed articles, that's the really serious research. That's when research that really influences society, that changes, the impact of, medicine and science and all of these insights within humanities. That's where the real research is published, and it is published for other researchers. And so it is complex. These are complex types of articles. But as we move through academia, you get into upper division classes, those are going to be the only types of sources that you're going to be using because those are the most credible. And I'll be giving you a lot of information about those, but that's just giving you a little preview. But again, this first week, read this over several times, but this first week is all about research. But as we go through here, I've got 2 student examples of what this type of writing looks like. Now this first example, if you looked at the student examples of an autoethnography, and I really wish you did, because this first one here is the next step of that first student example where he was writing about being able to build a community when he was off to college by by basically smoking marijuana with a group of friends, okay? And that was what his autoethnography was about loneliness in as a young adult and finding that connection in even, kind of weird ways. Well, this one, he really didn't want to write about, marijuana smoking, but he did want to write about isolation and how hard it is to create friendships as an adult. And so he opens this, he introduces it, right here, he brings in where is it? This is his thesis for this type of writing, okay? After studying the sources, he came up with this kind of statement. While different authors emphasize different solutions, providing both a space for and education on building quality friendships emerges as the prevailing and most effective solution. So that's the type of thesis that we're going to have for this type of writing. We're not sharing our own opinion in this. This is a report on what the issue or phenomenon looks like based on what these other authors have to say. And so that's the authors are mentioned in the thesis, and this is what they say about it. And then if you go in here and read, it's summarizing the different authors' opinions, but it's also synthesizing them. Read that over and look at it, and look at the other student example too that I have here. Don't worry too much about this now, about organizing the essay, because again, this week we're going to be focusing on finding the sources, but I wanted to get those examples of the final essay, what it's going to look like to you as soon as possible. So if we go through here, this is a great article. It's just short, but it's written for students on finding sources that come into conversation with one another. And it's all about keywords, finding, that keyword of the issue that we're going to be looking for, and then researching those keywords, okay? It's a great article on that. And this one is simply, you don't even have to read this if you don't want to. This is an article, a fantastic article on the importance of diversity in solving complex problems. And this is applicable because we are out there looking for diverse voices to add to our own understanding so that we can understand the complexity of different situations and different problems. If we only ask people who have the same lived experiences as us, who have the same perspectives as us, we're only going to have a partial understanding of what a situation looks like. It is so important to go out and gather diverse voices, different voices, and hear what they have to say. And so this is just a great article on applying that to business. And here we go. These are just some great videos explaining what peer-reviewed articles are. I'm just going to go through them really fast, how to find them, how to use the databases to find them, what databases are, and how to use the databases in the Paradise Valley virtual library to find your sources. Okay, you need to go over these. If you're not familiar with using the library, if you're not familiar with using databases, you need to go over these. There are some peer-reviewed articles that you can find online, but most of them you're going to have to use a database in the library. Okay, as far as the assignments for this week, really besides the researching, this is the only assignment that we have, and it's going to be right up front, and it is one of my favorite TED Talks. It's Chimamanda Adichie. And she writes about the danger of a single story, okay? And she talks about how we judge other places and other people based on very limited single stories and how problematic that is. And that can easily be applied to research. And so I'm going to ask you to watch this TED Talk. It's really, really good. Watch the TED Talk, and in your first post, just kind of think, how do you think that applies to research and really coming to understand an issue or a problem or an action? Okay, and then you're going to respond to one another's posts within the next couple days. And other than that, let's see, let me go over here. All I have is refer to the research tips module because we're just going to be researching. And I have this hyperlinked to our module at the bottom of our module pages, which is just research help. And right here where I have the Paradise Valley research help, these are the links that I shared in our module 4. But there's other ones in here too that are very valuable. Okay, so read that over. Let me know if you have any questions. I will have office hours on Tuesday afternoon from noon to 2 if anybody wants help researching. We can also set up another time. We can always get on our computer together, share our screen, and find sources together. I am absolutely fine with doing that. But do not wait until the last minute on this. It takes time to find sources, to find the right sources. Because if you just grab the first 4 you find, it's going to be really hard to synthesize them. And again, we'll talk a lot more about synthesizing and the tricks and the processes to do that next week. So let me know if you have any questions. Have a great week.